We're going to call the meeting to order, 5 o'clock, Tuesday, May 14th. Roll call, Commissioner Tebow. Here. Commissioner Sharp. Here. Commissioner Widdop.
Here.
Commissioner Dennis Sheedy and Commissioner Christine Sheedy will be absent tonight. First on the agenda, Meredith Keach, just in time for our favorite topic, Concord Avenue. The floor is yours, Meredith. Or Kathy.
I thought you could review the purchase and sale documents.
Sure.
Exactly what it entails for the
Okay.
board.
Okay. Did you print them up? I actually did bring those
I printed
documents
up,
with me.
on the first documents that are in everybody's packet, it said the town of Easton. Just so you know, we added the correction today, and the actual documents we'll sign actually says Easton Housing Authority, if anybody wants to see that first. They're the same documents, just it was switched up.
Yeah, so I changed the names, so
Yeah.
I forgot to bring a copy of these with me. So the Coldwell Banker requires a number of different documents, the most important of which is the exclusive listing agreement. You also have an affiliated business arrangement disclosure, disclaimer regarding third-party resources, blah, 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 mandatory agency disclosure, and the lead fee disclosure. So I've been told I'm like a wet blanket in describing these, so so cut me off if you want me to. I just feel it's important that people should know what they're signing. First page is going to indicate the price, and I did bring a revised and sent Kathy off a revised market analysis so that we can determine price. You all are really the ones who set the price. We just provide you with the details and the black and white, the information on properties that are similar to this one. And from there, first paragraph, you have the term of the agreement. I do a 4-month listing. We can reevaluate at the end of that time if the property hasn't sold. We can always extend or not. The listing price, scope of Coldwell Banker representation. So the bottom line is you would be hiring Coldwell Banker and myself and Jessica, agents of Coldwell Banker, to market, advertise the property and procure a buyer for the property. If you need legal advice, we're always going to defer to an attorney on that. If you need accounting advice, we'll defer to an accountant on that. Coldwell Banker will be granted the sole and exclusive right, so you will just hire one firm to market and advertise the property. You'll cooperate with Coldwell Banker. Coldwell Banker asked for a 5% commission. Of that 5%, 2.5% will go to the buyer's agent, who brings the buyer to the table. If that happens to be Jessica or I, then the commission will be reduced to 4%. And that's stipulated in the agreement as well. Page 2. A lot of this is a what-if document. Some of it refers to land, although the house itself is on land and very well is probably uninhabitable unless it would be a complete flip. A likely chance for this property would be that it would probably be torn down, but it could be. I have a property on Turnpike Street, 156 Turnpike, and I thought that would be a tear down, but really the majority of the folks looking and submitting offers have looked to flip it. So it's hard to say. But some of this talks about if you were to rent or if you were to sell just sell the land. So the next parts, paragraph 6, 7, 8, talk about agency. So designated agency means that Jessica and I, our fiduciary responsibility is to you. Although you're hiring Coldwell Banker, we are your designated agents. From time to time, we might have covering agents. It's pretty unlikely in this transaction because you have 2 of us for the price of 1, which is pretty good. We'll both be working on this full time. Dual agency. If by chance another Coldwell Banker agent brings a buyer to the table and they are a buyer's agent, then that means that Coldwell Banker would be dual agency, meaning that they would be representing the sellers and they would be representing the buyers, and they're just disclosing that here. Compensation to other brokers, 2.5% or half of the 5% paid will be paid to the buyer's agent. Unless it winds up being Jessica or I, then you would reduce that fee. The rest is questions about the property, a lot of which has come in the downturn of the market, not necessarily applicable here. There's clear and marketable title, there's no bankruptcy, no zoning disputes. You'll maintain insurance on the property, continue to care for it. We will take photographs of the property, perhaps a drone photo shoot. We'll put a lockbox to access the property. If not, we'll accompany the showings in order to get in there. There probably will be a fair amount of them. I know the property next door sold pretty quickly. Kathy and I discussed that. There's enough money to sell. This is if there were a mortgage on the property. Obviously, there's not. If it were a condominium, there's no municipal betterments. So there is the sewer going up Paquonicket, but to the best of my knowledge, it is not going up that far on Paquonicket. It is on municipal water. It's not serviced by a rented water heater, audio and visual surveillance equipment. So these are all types of things that the company just wants us to disclose if we know about it. Talks about keys showing in lockboxes. In the event of a multi-offer situation, that sometimes happens from time to time. That's our goal for you, is that we would present you with multiple offers. In that case, and always if a buyer's in a multi-offer situation, we will disclose to the buyer that they are in a multi-offer situation. That creates an advantage for you and lets them know and levels the playing field.
If I can just interject that for 1 minute.
Yeah.
We actually have to place this in central register and issue
Okay.
an RFP.
Okay.
So we go out to bid and there'll be an actual bid date selected. So when people drop off a bid packet,
Perfect.
I'll have an RFP packet for them to fill out.
Got it.
We would have to open them all together at the same designated time if we get multiple offers on the property, and we're
Perfect.
supposed to take the highest
Okay.
based on that information.
Oh, good. Okay, so that actually is good. We set a specific date for when they need to submit, and then we'll do that. There's a little bit of complexity with it because we'll need to vet those offers after we open them. They might have proof of funds or perhaps a pre-approval, but that's actually great. Creates a nice level playing field. Coldwell Banker will be the escrow agent, so any deposits held, Coldwell Banker will do that. Equal opportunity, we don't care what people do, how they do it, with whom, when, or where, but we do care that they're financially qualified to be able to buy the property, and they need to furnish either proof of funds, meaning that they have the money available to be able to purchase with cash, or if they're going to get a loan, that they have a pre-approval for that. Disclosures, we would disclose anything we know about the property, but there's really very little because none of you have lived in the property. So given that, that's what we would disclose. General terms of this agreement, no one would make changes to it without authorization from everyone. And the affiliated business arrangement disclosure. So the rest of these are disclosures. The affiliated is really a disclosure about the scope and size of the companies that own Coldwell Banker. They're an enormous real estate conglomerate. They own the 1031 exchange, insurance companies, mortgage divisions. And they're just letting you know by using the real estate division, you're not required to use the insurance or mortgage or any of the others. It's just a disclosure. Disclaimer regarding third-party resources. From time to time, Jessica or I make recommendations of service providers for you, for example, an attorney or home inspector or whatnot, and that's all that they're displaying there. Commonwealth of Massachusetts mandatory agency disclosure. So this document is mandated by the state. We have to disclose how we'll be representing you, and we will be seller's agents. We'll check that off and sign it and provide our license number there. And then the lead paint law. Even though the likelihood that someone is probably not going to live there, they may tear it down, but they may live there. And so the federal laws state that any prior built to 1978, the only way you can disclose if you know that there's lead paint or there isn't lead paint in the property is if you have it tested by a licensed lead paint inspector, and you have to furnish those reports. So in this case,
There may be a report on that, because I know they did rehab on that property, didn't they? Quite a few years back.
Yeah, but with no minor children, I don't know.
Well, it's a two-bedroom, so it had to have been, I
We
would
can
have
look into
to
that.
see if I can find that.
yep. If not, we would disclose unknown, and if we don't have those reports, and then the onus would be on the buyer to do the test.
Were you talking about 24?
Yeah.
They must have
Yeah,
275.
even most of them are out of business. You can't find it back, so if you said it was free, you'd be in trouble.
Now, the fact that we're selling it as is property.
Yep.
Does that, all those still?
Yes.
It's still
Yep.
applicable?
Yep, yep, because you don't know how someone's gonna occupy it.
Yep.
Do you want me to talk about the comps a little bit, Kathy?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So, well, wait a minute, before I do that, does anyone have any questions about the documents that I just reviewed? There's a lot there.
No, you're fine.
This girl is sleeping over here with me after that. For sure. let's see. So we did a report a while back, and though it hasn't changed completely, we do have a few more properties that have come in.
Seen this one before?
That was good. Clean the office.
Okay, here we go.
It's in there.
So 156 Turnpike is a really good, what I would call a sales comparison. I'm actually the listing agent on the property. It's, if you are coming to Turnpike Street and you were to head south, so if you come from Depot Street, take a right on Turnpike Street, it's down on your left. Good solid structure, built in the late 80s, but by all accounts, original. The sellers said to me, we haven't done much work on the house, Meredith, and then he handed me a skeleton key. So that's how you access that particular property. So the property's priced at $225. We have had a lot of offers, none that the seller felt comfortable as of yet accepting, but we are finalizing an offer now. And so, given that we've had a lot of offers on that property, I feel that this is a fair comparison. The benefit of 26 Pequannock is that you have the water access there, which is pretty neat, although some of that part of the pond is filling in from some of the weeds, but it's a pretty neat location. And the property right next door at 24.
It was 24.
Number 24, Sandstrom's family property, it's the red house, was just put on the market for $275, and they actually got offers pretty quickly.
It was 7 days.
What's that?
7 days to offer.
7 days. There's a family living there, and by all accounts, 26 is really uninhabitable, so I feel pretty comfortable saying that the condition of them was different. That one is also a little bit larger and a little bit closer access to the pond, to Old Pond. And then we do have a couple of others, so really Turnpike Street, 156 Turnpike Street would be the #1 competition, as we would call it, in that price range. We don't have many homes in the 200s. Typically in the 200s, it's going to be what we would call a flip, a rehab, or a tear down. But there are several that have sold fairly recently, at least since the last time that we had a conversation. 92 North Main Street, 21 Purchase, 209 Depot, 7 Willow, 530 Foundry, and 102 Central Street. All of those properties, with the exception of 102 Central Street, were in the 200s. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. 102 Central was 269, and 221 Purchase was actually listed for $299 but sold for $199. So the sales on that, the high end was the 102 Central Street. You would all know that property. It's on your left, a sort of a little box ranch on your left, just past Scotch Dam Road. 530 Foundry Street was listed for $223 and sold for $250. On the high end, you have Willow, and Willow would be on the high end as well because you're in a neighborhood. But that one sold for $230. 209 Depot Street, $225, sold at asking price. 21 Purchase, which I'm not sure what happened there. It was listed for $299 and sold, for $100,000 left. So that's a big difference. That could be attributed to a number of things. It could be that the property was simply overpriced, but my guess is that that's being such a big difference there might have been an issue at home inspection, and that would have to be a pretty dramatic home inspection issue. But needless to say, that could still be the case. And then 92 Main Street listed for $189 and it sold for $180. So the ideal that you would want is for us to bring you multiple offers. That's really the end goal for us. Does it always happen? No, but it can. And also to sell quickly. When a property sells quickly, oftentimes the seller will say, well, I should have asked more money. And that's certainly reasonable. But it also means that the property was priced well because buyers have access to the same information that we provide you with. And so they're certainly doing their homework and they're out looking at every single property out there. And they certainly have a perception of value. So if a property is sold within the first 2 weeks, you know that you've priced the property well. That being said, 156 Turnpike Street, we've had a lot of offers on the property, and the sellers felt strongly that on their price, and so they have said no to a lot of offers. And in time, they've waited, and now they're gonna get their price. So sometimes you do have that exception, especially if it's a tear down or a rehab property, but right now it seems that the investors are really out. We've seen a lot of properties in the last week within our office that are multifamilies going under agreement right away, and I have a lot more activity on the Turnpike Street property. So that said, I feel pretty confident with the 225 price on this property, but we could certainly start higher and test the market there. But the house itself, by all accounts, is definitely uninhabitable as far as I'm concerned right now. But the septic system is in good order, right?
Right, but my understanding from the town is that it would still need to be torn up and redone because it's been unoccupied for more than 90 days,
Okay,
even though it's a septic suitable for a 5-bedroom house.
yeah.
Mhm.
That would be our responsibility.
No.
No, because we're selling it as is.
Yeah, you'd need to get a cash buyer, or funds would have to be escrowed, but I think at this price, we could get either a hard money lender, meaning it's the same as cash, sort of a financial backer in that type of circumstance, or a cash buyer. And in those circumstances, then you could waive the requirement of the septic system.
That's typically what I would think would be looking at this property, would you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Meredith, in the back it has pricing scenarios.
Yep.
Predicted price of your home based upon cost per square foot, and
Yep.
that's 149. What's that?
So this is just basically what the computer spits out. It gives you some in-depth analysis, price by square foot. Is that the one that you're looking
Yeah.
at, or the other one? Yeah, so it just bases the square foot, it divides the square footage by those that have sold, and then it gives a prediction based on that. I don't see us ending at that price by any stretch, but
Is it usually that much of a spread?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not one that, I don't typically look at price per square foot. It's more something in other areas where we look at. We're looking more at location here, type of a property where if you were in the city, for example, or even in commercial, they really look at price per square foot. And same thing with the assessed value over a market analysis. The assessors put a different value on it, and we certainly always want our values higher than an assessment.
And you said it's got to be an RFP, correct?
Yes.
So how much time should we give the buyers to put in a bid? Should it be 2 weeks, a month? I mean,
I can answer that question, actually.
can,
I can. Dreaming about this. Once I put it in the central register, we have 30 days from the date it hits the central register till the date that it goes on. Thank you. Till the date that it, till we can open bids, has to be 30
it has to
days.
be 30 days?
So if I get it in central register with board approval today and get it in central register by this Thursday, it will hit the register next Wednesday, so it'll be 30 days from that date. And then there are rolling dates going after that. If we don't get any bids, there'll be our unacceptable bids. So we do rolling dates all the way to December, so we don't have to
Good,
re-advertise
excellent.
every 4 weeks, same time. And that's in the RFP, which I will give you a copy of. I'm still working on the actual RFP, but I'll get that right to you.
Okay.
Paul McCartney's actually, I'm just waiting for his review of that.
Learning lesson here for us all.
For all of us, yes, absolutely, yeah.
But it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's such a beautiful street, and so it's pretty neat. And I had sat for a short time on the Affordable Housing Trust, and was part of that exploration to find possibilities for this property, which proved to just not work out. But I think that this is probably the best course of action in order to be able to fund another purchase there. Yeah.
So do we need a motion to allow you to sign, to allow Ann
We need
to
to
sign?
sign,
Do we
yes.
need to establish a selling price first?
Yep, we have to do that as well. And your recommendation is the 225, Meredith?
Suggestions on this,
I think you're right, 225.
225 is what we'll.
I would recommend that we go with the 225. It's gonna be a bid process, so if someone wants to, if they think the market will sustain 230, they have a chance to do it, right?
Yeah.
235,
Yeah.
put the bid in. Someone can throw a low ball in there, 199,
We can reject it.
right?
And we have more work to do on our end as well. It's not sort of simple. Once we have the paperwork signed from any client, then we pick up the ball from there. I'll research what properties could be built where in the process. Obviously, we know with a demo, but age of properties, and so that we can just basically create a portfolio for any prospective buyer who wants to take the property on. And we have access to drone video. We use professional photography as well. So there's a lot that goes into the marketing of it. We need really roughly about a week to launch the property with the two of us working on it. And then we can take it from there. There'll be signage and all types of online activities, social media.
And that would coincide with not being able to do anything until it hits central register next week.
So I would entertain a motion that we,
Was that a motion you made, Tom?
Well, I can make it full. I didn't get, I will make a motion to authorize Kathy Steiger as Executive Director of the Easton Housing Authority to enter into a purchase and then a residential brokerage agreement.
Exclusive right to sell.
What is it?
Exclusive right to sell.
Exclusive right to sell with a listed price of $225,000 as recommended by Ms. Keach.
I'll second that motion.
motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second by Commissioner Widup. Any further discussion? Questions for Meredith?
So Meredith, you've known this property as long as we have?
I actually I spent a lot of time there as a little girl because the woman who lived there was Mrs. Du Bois, my Girl Scout leader. And so it really was. I was a Girl Scout long after, I should say, it was socially acceptable. And so I spent a lot of time there, and I'm still in contact with Mrs. Du Bois's daughter. But the interesting part is in the basement, if you will all know, that there's a sort of a garage door that opens up, and that's where she would have with the Girl Scout troops. And so very fond of that property. A lot of fun memories there. So it's interesting to see sort of the change in ownership. And as a kid, I didn't know, that it was owned by the town, or not that you would or need to or anything. It was just a really fun place to go play, which is pretty neat.
Excellent. Good to have that history.
Yeah.
And as she mentioned, she also sat on the Affordable Housing Trust, so she knows the pricing issues that we faced as far as trying to rehab the property, and
Yeah.
it's led us to this point today that we're best off just moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Well, I look forward to working with you all. It's exciting bringing this to another phase.
Yes, absolutely. We have to.
As a board, we're looking forward to moving forward
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've heard enough about this property.
Okay, well, we're available at any point, certainly phone, email, social
And I'll
media.
touch base with you tomorrow,
Okay.
just
Perfect.
if you have any time, we'll sit down and.
Yep, you got it. Beautiful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for
you,
coming.
Meredith.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Is there other ones? One was the old one, and one's the new one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you ever go ice skating on the pond?
I haven't, no, in years.
Let me get one.
As a kid, I did. Yeah, yeah. With, but no, not now. But I did do a tour.
25.
Oh, was it Smith?
We always said that.
Thank you.
Your camera will catch it.
Oh, which one?
There's
I didn't hear you, sorry. I was
another
just-
house on
That's all right.
it. Used to be an old greenhouse,
I know. Yeah.
Hamilton.
Road,
So
yes.
when I do
Yeah.
this.
and we had boundary up there.
Yes. Oh, I do know.
Maybe you will say.
Okay.
And then-
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, very old. I know you were back the next day.
Better than a rehab that's anywhere, right?
That was such a nightmare.
Yeah.
so funny, as a kid, it was just a fun place to go.
Yeah.
Really fun. 'Cause even when I reviewed
Anyone
anyway.
she gives them me.
That's funny how these things change over time. Thank you.
Alrighty, moving along with agenda item number 2, the minutes of the March 19th, 2019 and April 9th, 2019 meetings. Actually, we do one at a time, so we'll do March 19th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 19th, 2019.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second by Commissioner Sharp. Any discussion regarding the March 19th meeting? Minutes. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. And we'll take up the April 9th, 2019 minutes.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the minutes of April 9th, 2019.
I'll second.
Good, go ahead.
John?
We have a motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second for, a tie for second, but we'll go with Commissioner Widow. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Agenda item number 3, the April 2019 warrant in the amount of $181,755.99.
I'll make a motion that we accept the April 2019 warrant for $181,755.99.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Widow, a second by Commissioner Tebow. Any discussion? I did have a couple, Kathy, on page 2 of 9. Constable Robert Bishop, $1,500, $1,550.
Yeah, that was for the moving, it was a
Oh,
physical
that's the
eviction.
moving.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was, the mover bills him and he forwards it all
Okay,
to
I
us.
couldn't figure out how,
Yeah,
That was I vaguely remember signing that check. There were a lot of detailed items.
yes,
There was a lot
exactly,
that he
yes.
had to go through, a lot of
We did.
items.
Yes, because it was a person who passed that had no family member whatsoever, so we had to categorize absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So,
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. go
I
ahead.
just had one more on page 3 of 9, Home Depot commercial, and it's just the title, it's deferred pump withhold, and there seems to be a little issue with that it's vacancy supplies.
Yeah, that was the account number again, okay.
That was my
That's,
question.
yeah, when Dan sees stuff like that, again, sometimes it's the system. We're still having little tweaks with it. Dan adjusts it and allots it appropriately when he does the books.
Those
It
are
should
my-
be 4420.
Yeah, I have the same thing on page 6. The Maham's membership is going to materials and supplies.
Yeah, that should go to training.
Tell Dan they're stealing his money, stealing his
Oh,
materials money.
Yeah. He always adjusts the stuff when he's doing the
Oh, I'm
books.
talking about Dan, the maintenance.
Oh,
You know.
and just also on page 1, if you notice for Northeast Store, there's no check number. That was a check I put in, it was the wrong amount. And I avoided the check, but it didn't print out on it, but it also didn't print a check number. It is now voided from the warrant, but there is no check number or any dollar amount really associated, because there is another check for Northeast Store with the correct amount on it.
That one's on page 7.
Thank you.
That's 8 of 9. Page 8, at the bottom of 7 and then the top of 8.
Yep. Yeah, the 459, it wasn't 542, I had called them, it was originally 542, when I put it in, I noticed they charged us for a couple of hours and they were only here for an hour, so I called them, and they credited us back an hour, so that's why they were in there twice.
Well done, you.
All right, any further discussion regarding the April warrant? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Where are we? Oh, this is from Mr. Tebow. Agenda item number 5, appointment for CPA committee member, board
You
vote.
skipped the year end report.
Oh, did I was getting ahead of myself.
You were told.
Number 4, year-end 2019 financial statements, top 5 salaries, and tasks, which are tenant accounts receivables.
I'll just make comment that the programs are all doing positive. Your Section 8 administrative fees were up, your costs were down. There was a little bit surprised, the audit fee. They charge us $1,200 more. That's usually zero, I mean, perfect.
Yep, I know.
They didn't budget themselves correctly.
And when Dan went over, obviously when we were doing the budgets, he went over, everything looked pretty good at that time too.
No, I just,
Rents are up.
yeah, no, look, rents are up. They look- Obviously, you beat all the budgets. Doing better,
Trying.
keeping expenses down and
This year might be different with all the vacancies.
things come up. Vacancies are gonna be tough. I don't know are you still struggling with champs?
No,
No?
that's not the issue, it's the amount of vacancies we're
Amount of
getting in
vacancies.
transfers.
No, okay.
I have a question, Kathy, on at the back of the package. It's titled LHA tenant accounts receivables,
Mhm.
and then the bottom of the page ages the TARs.
What was that? I'm sorry.
It-
Oh, Asia, Azle, the website.
Oh,
We're still,
that's a website for the,
I hate
this,
for HAFIS.
Yep.
The fee accountant does this document because it is required. You're on the tenants accounts receivable pages, right?
yes.
Those are extremely difficult to understand. It's something fairly new for us as well that the Department of Housing is now requiring us to file. It's really tough to explain the numbers, but what I can tell you is we do have a large accounts receivable, but they're on vacates. And a large amount of that receivable, about $11,000 is a family that was evicted that have gone to court several times on, and we have caviuses on, and we can't collect. A lot of the other accounts receivables are vacated tenants, tenants that move out or we evict, and we can't collect the rents because their only income is Social Security. So we have written off a lot, and we're still tying up all of this. I do want to do write-offs with the board again very soon because I'd like to clear up the books, but our actual accounts receivable on present tenants, if you notice, it's on, I guess it would be the 4th page from the back.
$417 under 30.
705, we have $969. And on 667, the elderly is only $786. Dawn is very good at collecting. And our tenants are very good at paying their rent in a timely manner too, so we're lucky in that aspect.
Thank you for explaining that. It makes perfect sense, the way you explained it. Thank you.
The reports don't make any sense.
No, just that last page.
Right.
I actually had Cheryl sit down and go over with me because I could not understand some of it.
I had the HCD try to explain it to me, and they just went through it. Said, don't pay attention to that, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then why is it
Don't
there?
pay attention.
Yeah, then why is it there?
Okay.
And then, we have to sign the top 5 salaries. And you all have to sign and then answer little questions that go along with them.
And you do certify that everybody gets a lead paint certificate
Yes.
that they sign.
At the time of move-in, they're in the resident file and in the unit files.
So do we need some kind of motion or?
Yeah, on these, on the top 5, I believe you do, and on the ties. Do you need a motion on the ties? That's a good question. You don't sign anything, so I'm not sure on the ties. Just put it on file that you reviewed it.
Yeah. To accept and put on file.
I'll make a motion that we accept and place on file the conference compilation report. That's agenda item number 4. That's the one we were talking about, correct? For the March 31st, 2019 financial statements.
I second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Widup, a second by Commissioner Tebow. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Now we go to agenda item number 5. Appointment for CPA committee member, board vote.
Well, I would nominate you, Commissioner Sheedy, if you're willing to take it. You've had a long experience with them. You've been very successful at working with them. You certainly understand it, I think, better than most of us, given your experience. But again, I know you've done it for quite some time, and I mean that sincerely, so it's,
Currently I'm the second longest member on that board. Well, Ed Hand's had a little brief hiatus, but continuous service, like number 2 on that board. I would continue to do it, but if somebody else wants to sit on that board or looks for the opportunity to sit on that board.
No, thank you. I would second Tom's nomination, simply that I think it's important to build up a rapport, as well as a familiarity. And I think, like as Tom said, you've done a wonderful job with that. I think that would, so I would second the nomination that Tom made.
Okay. Looks like I'm going to CPC's Thursday night. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second by Commissioner Widup. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, I guess.
yeah,
Aye,
aye.
yes,
And I thank you very much, Dennis. I know it's,
right.
you've done a lot of work
Sincerely
on that.
appreciate the
It's
time that you...
Thursday night, don't you golf on Thursday night?
Sometimes. I'm not in Hanson, somewhere else.
Did you want to address the reorg as well at the same time? Or do you want me to table that
That's
for the next meeting when
actually,
Chris is here?
yeah, because that's actually not a agenda item, so we should probably,
No, if it's not on the agenda,
we
we
should put it on the agenda.
Oh, it was all with the, okay.
But none of us, term is expiring, so we're all good for another
If you
year.
would
So.
be so kind, Dennis, I'll fill that out. That's just for the CPA committee.
All right, while I do this, we can move along to agenda item number 6, maintenance uniform policy draft. Am I just signing this, Kathy?
Yeah, just where I put that X, and I'll fill out the rest.
Yeah, she puts this in my age.
I should have made that bigger.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
I have a question about the draft. I was wondering why on the draft, the paragraph that addresses the reimbursement for work boots wasn't just mirrored from the original policy.
A couple of reasons, actually. I thought that the original policy was a little strict in the last board meeting that we had. We kind of discussed that as well. These maintenance guys are very good. They never submit, very rarely will submit a receipt when they buy work boots. I think I've received one from one guy and it was only $50.
On the April warrant, $46.
Yeah, so
That doesn't,
I think
doesn't pay
if, you know they're buying them, so I'd rather just get, and you know they're expensive, and you know they go through more than one pair in a year. I'd rather just give them the $100 stipend to buy the work boots. They didn't want to buy their own uniforms, they wanted the housing authority to do it, and as needed. We'd start with t-shirts and pants for the summer, and then in the fall, I'd look at sweatshirts and jackets and add that to it, and as they needed things. It's a very good crew, and we're going to go through Mass Corps, which is much more affordable than going through anybody else. We're actually meeting with the Mass Corps rep tomorrow to go over pricing. So I did sit with maintenance and discuss what they would like to see. And I know that right now we're averaging $300 a month for the uniforms.
So I would make two comments then. I think you have to get rid of the up to. The authority will provide up to a, so you get rid of up to a.
Okay.
Will provide $100 per year stipend for each maintenance employee for purchase of work boots, correct? So if they want to purchase work boots or snow boots. And then I do think we need to put a budget on the items up top. You have a budget, right? You said you were spending about $300 a month. So there should be some type of budget that you have for uniforms each year. You said it's a very good group, and one of the biggest mistakes we make is making a policy decision based upon the personnel you have today. And someone comes up and they say, well, the only thing I can wear is this Kevlar new stuff, and it's $400 a shirt, or like that. So and we do have a budget. I mean, it's stuck in somewhere. Dan considers that somewhere. You had a monthly bill, right?
Yes.
So if we have money there, but I just think that should be something that's considered.
I would know better what that budget would be after we meet with the rep and get an idea of pricing for this. Do I need to put the budget in this policy?
No, you should put it in the budget though.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So when we
Yeah.
approve the budget, we're approving it
Right,
for that.
but we already approved the budget this year,
I understand.
going forward.
And it
we
has
do that.
at least $3,600, if not more,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it has boot money in there also
Yeah.
for it. But I do think that we have to have some control over it, how much money we're going to be spending. You might have someone who's very frugal,
This group is.
Yeah, again, so they, very low, and then another group that doesn't, and how is it fair? Or even one maintenance person who says, I just want this.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
you have to have some control over that.
Yeah, well, I would approve all purchases anyhow, especially for the uniforms. I would be making that decision.
Does anyone have any concern with shorts? That's not in the previous one, that it was just shirts, pants, and jackets. You added shorts and sweatshirts.
Shorts is an OSHA violation if they're doing work.
They were thinking when we were mowing. It's pretty hot, really.
That's when it's an OSHA
So
violation.
no shorts, that's fine. I had a request from one of the guys.
Yeah. There can be
I questioned that, but he told me that it wasn't an OSHA violation, and I'll be able to research it.
Yeah, that was my thing, that it was an OSHA thing. If it is an OSHA, I'm sure whoever the insurance is through for
I
workers' comp, they
thought
might
that they
have
could
an
wear them as
opinion.
long as they were wearing work boots. No?
It's possible, you would need clarification.
Yeah, if it's acceptable. I know in Brockton, we don't allow it, and it was through an OSHA training that was, became an issue, and a workman's comp review.
I'll check with Burton.
For simple things like poison ivy, but if you're weed whacking, obviously stuff
Yeah.
comes up.
And now with this, what do they call it? There's a new weed that looks like a milkweed.
Oh, yes, I know the one you're talking about. That was last year, that was a big
Yes.
topic last year. I think the striped shorts from this, I don't have a problem with that.
I would ask that you do that if it is indeed an OSHA violation.
Don't come to my house and watch me out my ass.
Well, I will tell you, my husband just did this. He was cutting back trees in the woods. This was quite a few weeks back. Everything was still dead, didn't bloom. He is covered
Is he?
everywhere. It all came back at him. He didn't even know it. He has a chest, his legs, his arms, yeah. So I totally understand that.
Giant hogweed. That's
Yes.
the one, giant hogweed.
Yeah.
It can be fatal.
Yeah,
Oh, I did, they sent,
Yes.
there was one in Stoughton. It was,
Yes,
yeah.
and they're beautiful too, you wouldn't even know.
Yes, you know where I've seen them? On Manley Street, you know, the industrial, where ABF Freight is?
Mhm.
Driving along the wooded section of Manley Street, I saw them on the sides of the road.
Wow. So if those things are taken out, the shorts and the up to,
Right, 'cause your intent
Yeah.
is to give them $100 a year. right?
yes it is, yes.
I would also, you might want to put in when you're going to give it to them. So is it going to be
In the
First?
fall or...
yeah,
Okay, June
September
1st.
June
That
1st.
would be perfect.
Any other questions or concerns regarding the maintenance uniform policy?
Can we make a motion?
I would entertain a motion for that.
Okay, I will make a motion that we accept the draft maintenance uniform policy with the 2 revisions. Number 1, striking the word shorts on the assumption that it's an OSHA violation. And number 2, the authority will provide a $100 per year stipend as the correction to that sentence.
Second.
no, second, I'm sorry. Did you second?
No,
We have a motion by Commissioner Whitup, a second by Commissioner Tebow. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Can't put that one away yet. Agenda item number 7, amendment number 669 to House Bill, I guess, 3800, filed by Representative Claire Cronin.
Well, this is for just the people in the room. Representative Cronin has filed a budget amendment to include $75,000 for the Easton Housing Authority. And the way it worded is to provide further that no less than $75,000 shall be expended on the Easton Housing Authority for improvements to community rooms and outdoor recreation spaces at Elise Circle and Parker Terrace. So that's been approved by the
It has been, so I'm waiting to hear from Representative Glenn.
Any questions or comments on Representative Cronin's?
I'm sure you've already sent her a little thank you of one sort or
Oh,
another.
yeah, yes. We've been going back and forth, absolutely, on that email,
No,
I didn't include, yeah, I already responded to that.
I don't need to do anything with that, I believe, so we'll move along to Mass Narrow Centralized Section 8 waitlist change, new amendment to the administrative plan. Kathy, you want to walk us through this?
If I can remember why. I think it's a technicality, because they're going to be going with the GO Section 8 to handle the wait list. Mass Narrow's not going to be doing it anymore. They're contracting it out. The cost to us will still be the same. It would be $4 per voucher, not to, a minimum of $600 a year, but not to exceed $5,000. So we'd be at the minimum of $600 a year for them to manage the wait list right now.
We just paid that this month, didn't we? Didn't I see that this month in this one? In the warrant? Did you pay Narrow?
And then the
Yes.
April warrant?
Right, but this is just for the this is just to adopt that the GO Section 8 will be doing this in our administrative plan for the Section 8 program. We have the Mass Narrows handles our centralized list. We have to have an approval that we can now allow them to use GO Section 8.
So the update is simply to recognize that it's no longer being done by Mass Narrow,
Correct.
it's being done by GO Section 8 / Mass CWL.
And I have Jane coming down to the conference, because Girl Section 8 is actually going to be at the conference doing trainings in the afternoon on Monday, so Jane's going to come down and go to those trainings. I went to one, it was way up Route 9, now I can't remember the name of the town I was at. I went to one of the trainings, it seems like it's going to be great, much better than what they've been doing right now. And the rent reasonableness, I believe, is going to be built into that as well.
I'm glad you brought up Jane. I want to make a comment about Jane. At the last meeting, I had a question on the Section 8
Yes.
checks. And she spent time and explained everything to me. And I have to say, this woman knows her job, and she's very thorough, and she's accurate, and she explained it to me so that I, could understand. And I was very impressed.
Yeah, she's a great lady, absolutely. She's been in the business for a long time. We're lucky to have her. Did you get one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the changes, the centralized waiting list to our administrative plan to recognize the changes being done by Mass Narrow going to Go Section 8.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second by Commissioner Widup. Any further discussion?
I did notice one place in there, Kathy, there is a blank where you have to refer back into your administrative plan.
Yes, yeah.
Just make sure that. Who does the rest, oh, sorry. Yeah, who does the rest of the administrative plan?
Jamie usually walks us through it. We really haven't, I think we're going to be updating it soon. We usually use the name of it.
Nan McKay?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Nan McKay, okay.
Page 6.
Yeah, it has it right there. Administrative plan app.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Number 9, Executive Director's Report. How many work orders are generated through an annual inspection?
We just started getting them in. The family units generated quite a few. And then the Elise Circle units just came in last week, and the Parker units were finished yesterday, so those reports will be coming in. Usually quite a few, unfortunately.
And I noticed when I was just signing the check before the meeting that second and third call for a particular residence is an additional charge, $32.50 each time on the invoice. In other words, if they had to come back,
Oh, the inspectors?
yes.
Oh, that's a Section 8. That's not the state inspections.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was confused, sorry. Yeah, that is the Section 8, when they send them out, and that's something I'd like to revisit. I don't even know if we can in the administrative plan. I don't know if you know the answer to that.
Sure.
When people aren't there, can you go back and charge the landlord or the tenant when we go back 2 and 3 times?
Right, especially if you give them
Yeah.
notice, there will be an inspection on X date. If this date doesn't work for you, let us know in advance by such and such a date. That will-
It's funny you mention that, because actually Jamie Berryman's coming out tomorrow to finish up CMAP. I was going to ask her if that's something that's allowable or not, because I'm not
Please do,
sure.
please. I mean, I know in Brockton, the people get a free pass, we're not charged the first time, the second time is a charge.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's passed on to the residents.
There was some second, there was some third.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a Section 8. The landlord either is not there or the tenant's not there. Here, we go into the units. We give the resident notice, so the inspector goes in either way.
Oh.
You can be there, you don't have to be there, but as long as we give 48-hour notice, but we give much more notice than that.
How long does it take them to do all of it?
Kathy's daughter is doing them now. Same inspection agency that we used last year. She did all Parker units yesterday. Every single one of them she got into. But the good news is a lot of them are in good shape. There are minor things here and there that generate work orders. A loose outlet, that's going to generate a work order, tighten the plate.
Would you be better off if you split them up by did at least 1 month, and a couple months later did over here, so that the maintenance staff doesn't have the issue that you have.
We don't have
with-
too many 24 hours, so it's okay because we can put some of the stuff in deferred.
And then what do you do with your deferred?
They check them monthly. Dan and Derek are usually, and some of the things you put into deferred, like a cracked floor tile, then they'll note it on the inspection report. But if it's not, you know, it could be a crack in the middle of a tile and they catch it. It's not a trip hazard, it's not coming up. That's gonna be one of those things, you're gonna defer, but it doesn't necessarily need to be done. Like there's a cracked tile under the steam radiator at one of the family sites. There's nothing leaking, it's noted on the inspection, so we go out and look at it, and we'll put it into deferred.
Yeah, no, it's a condition.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're gonna do capital A, you might replace the floors at that time.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns regarding the executive director's monthly report? Here are none, we'll move on. Resident questions and comments.
I'm gonna make a comment.
Go ahead.
The grass looks great.
How, can I ask a question?
Yes,
How are the pine cones?
they are great too. We don't have any more. No, they did a great job. The only thing I said to Dan, they didn't move the picnic tables. He says, they can't. I said, all right.
They don't, yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's pretty standard, yeah.
Well,
The guys can.
our guys
they'll
always
do
just push them with the tractor.
that. No, they'll break it. Yeah.
So, I got my answer and I said, all right. He said, I'll come over with the weed whacker. Well, the picnic table's not in front of my door, I don't care.
You know what we could do is, and this is, they won't appreciate this, is make a little square and make no grass in there and put it in there. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question about maintenance not being able to pull your stove out for you because it's caused me a neck and back injury when I had to do it. Because they said if they did it for me, they'd have to do it for all the elderly. They asked if I had relatives or friends that could come over and do it, but I would think that would be maintenance job.
Well, it's probably impossible for them to go around and pull out every stove in both properties and then get back and put them back in again, so. I think
Well,
we,
they were at my unit that day doing some other repairs, and I had asked them to do that so I could clean behind it. And thank goodness it got pulled out. There
Yeah.
was a hole left in there where the wire goes through, where mice can get into your apartment.
now, we discussed this last month, I think you were asked to make arrangements to meet with Kathy, did you do that?
Not last month.
Yes, you were here last month for the meeting.
It's in the minutes.
We discussed it.
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
Oh, you mean that?
And we discussed the stove, and I think Mr. Tebow actually referred you to a chore service that might be able to come out and help you with that. Maintenance
Okay.
does not do that.
Okay, so they don't do anything to pull or push. You have to do it yourself or
Well,
your relatives?
That would be cleaning your unit. If you're looking to clean under your stove, that's your prerogative. That's
Oh,
a
you don't
cleaning.
have to do it then.
I'll be honest with you, I go down on the floor with a Swiffer. I don't pull my stove out at home and I pull it all out and then I vacuum it out. You know, keeping a clean unit is a resident's responsibility, not maintenance.
So I got this because I was keeping it clean.
Well, you made a choice to pull out your stove. And we told you maintenance couldn't do that.
I'll have to look at the tape too. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But I forget the Excel.
I don't know, I was just gonna look at the Excel.
Because everything seems to be safe and sanitary.
Safe means no tripping hazards.
also.
You pulling out your stove doesn't have anything to do with being safe. Tripping hazards in your unit, repairs and sanitary conditions. Safe housing, you know,
Put Sean in with us.
we provide safe, affordable, sanitary housing. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussions, questions? Next meeting? Maybe it'll be warm out, who knows?
It's June, I hear it's supposed to
Don't
be.
hold your breath.
Second would be June 11th.
11?
Okay, it's that day, okay.
Yeah, you got it in the morning.
June 11th.
June 11th.
Is that okay with everybody?
It's okay with me.
Unless something changes, we will meet again June 11th at 5 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion
Make
to
a motion.
adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Widow, second by Commissioner Sharp, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.